I was holding a paternity test in one hand and a stack of printed text messages in the other when my wife's mother asked me if I wanted to say a few words at the baby shower, and I smiled and said, "Hey, actually, I have a lot to say. If you've got some time and maybe something strong to drink nearby, settle in. This is going to take a while. So why did I wait 3 months to blow up my entire life? Why plan a party just to destroy it?" Well, here's the thing about betrayal. Once you know the truth, you can't unknow it. But you can decide how it comes out. And I decided that if my life was going to implode, everyone was going to watch it happen in real time. Let me back up. 3 months ago, I found out the baby my wife was carrying wasn't mine. Before that, I found out she'd been sleeping with my best friend since 2nd grade. And before that, I was just a guy who thought he had his life figured out. This is the story of how I went from that guy to the guy who served divorce papers at a baby shower. It's messy, it's brutal, and honestly, I'm still not sure if I did the right thing. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about Tyler first. Tyler Martinez. Met him in 2nd grade, Mrs. Patterson's class in San Diego. I was the new kid, didn't know anyone, sat alone at lunch with my X-Men lunchbox. Tyler plopped down next to me, asked if I liked Wolverine, and that was it. 22 years of friendship that started over comic books and ended in a way I never saw coming. We did everything together. Little League, video game marathons, that disastrous camping trip in 8th grade where we almost burned down half of Palomar Mountain because Tyler thought you could cook s'mores with gasoline. He was there when my dad got diagnosed with colon cancer in 2015. Showed up at the hospital at 2 in the morning with coffee and terrible jokes because he knew I couldn't handle being alone with my thoughts. I helped him through his breakup with Emma in 2017. Let him crash on my couch for 2 months while he ugly cried through an entire season of The Office. When I married Jessica in June 2020, Tyler was my best man. Gave a speech about how lucky Jessica was, how I was the most loyal guy he knew. Looking back, I can't tell if that was genuine or if he was already planning what came next. Either way, everyone laughed, everyone drank, and I thought I'd spent years building something solid with the people I loved most. Turns out I was just stacking cards, and they were about to blow it all down themselves. Jessica and I met in the summer of 2018 at a beach bonfire. Mutual friend Sarah introduced us. Jessica was laughing at something, head thrown back, blonde hair catching the firelight, and I remember thinking she was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. We started talking about travel. She'd just gotten back from Costa Rica. I was planning a trip to Iceland. And suddenly it was 2 in the morning and everyone else had left and we were still sitting there in the sand. We dated for 18 months. She was outgoing where I was quiet, spontaneous where I was cautious. People always said we balanced each other out. I proposed on a sunset hike at Torrey Pines, got down on one knee right there on the trail, while some tourists took photos and cheered. She cried. I cried. Tyler hugged us both and said he was happy for us. We got married at a vineyard in Temecula. Small wedding, maybe 80 people. Our first dance was to The Way You Look Tonight, because Jessica loved old jazz. We bought a house in Carlsbad 2 years later, 3 bedrooms, $550,000 mortgage that made me anxious every time I thought about it. But Jessica loved the neighborhood, and I loved her, so I signed the papers. Life was good. I was a senior accountant at a mid-size firm pulling in about $95,000 a year. Jessica worked in marketing, made around 65. We had game nights every Friday with our friend group, Tyler, Sarah, Michael, and his girlfriend, a few others. We'd order pizza, play Cards Against Humanity, drink too much wine, and laugh until our sides hurt. We talked about kids. Jessica wanted them soon. I said, let's wait another year, make sure we're financially stable. Looking back now, I can see the cracks forming. But at the time, I just thought we were settling into married life. You know how it goes. The initial excitement fades. You get into routines. You stop having sex 3 times a week and start having it once a month. Normal stuff. Or at least, that's what I told myself. It started about 8 months before everything exploded. Jessica began working late more often. She'd text me at 6 p.m. "Client presentation tomorrow, gonna be here till 9. I'd heat up leftovers alone, watch Netflix, fall asleep on the couch. She'd come home smelling like the office, coffee and dry erase markers, and I never questioned it. She started going to the gym more, too. Jessica had always been sporadic about exercise, but suddenly she was there 4 times a week, every Tuesday and Friday evening, sometimes Saturday mornings. She'd come home flushed and energized, take a long shower, and I'd think, good for her. She's taking care of herself. Tyler got busy around the same time, started canceling our weekly guys' nights. "Work's crazy," he'd say. "Boss is writing me about Q3 numbers." He was a sales manager at a tech startup, and I believed him. Why wouldn't I? This was Tyler, the guy who'd been in my life longer than anyone except my parents. There were other things, little things. Jessica would be texting at 11 p.m., phone tilted away from me when I walked by. I'd ask who it was, and she'd say, "Just Sarah, planning her birthday thing." Jessica started mentioning Tyler more in conversation. "Tyler said the funniest thing at the gym today." Tyler recommended this new restaurant. I'd think, cool, my wife and my best friend are getting along. That's nice. At a BBQ in October, Tyler mentioned something about Jessica's day that I didn't know. "Oh yeah, Jessica told me about that meeting disaster," he said, laughing. I remember pausing, beer halfway to my mouth, thinking, when did she tell him that? She hadn't mentioned it to me. But then someone changed the subject and I let it go. If you've ever ignored a red flag because you wanted everything to be fine, you know exactly how that feels. December 15th, 2023. That's the day everything changed. I came home early from work. My boss let everyone leave at 4 p.m. for the holidays. Jessica was at her Friday yoga class, or at least that's where she said she was. I was in a good mood. It was 2 weeks before Christmas. We'd just booked tickets to visit her parents in Vista for New Year's, and I was thinking about what to get her as a gift. I went to grab something from her gym bag. She'd asked me earlier to get her water bottle, said she forgot to take it out, and it was probably starting to smell. I unzipped the bag, moved aside her yoga mat and sneakers, and my hand hit something hard in the inner pocket. A phone, a cheap Samsung that I'd never seen before. Powered off. I stood there in our bedroom, holding this phone, and I felt this cold weight drop into my stomach. Part of me wanted to put it back and pretend I never found it. Just zip up the bag, walk away, keep living in the world where my wife went to yoga on Fridays and my best friend was too busy with work to hang out. The other part, the part that was tired of ignoring the obvious, powered it on. No lock screen, first mistake they made. The phone lit up and I saw one text thread. Contact name, T. No last name, no photo, just T. I scrolled up. Months of messages, hundreds of them, dating back to April 2023. 8 months. The first few were flirty. "Hey, you looked good at the gym today. Thanks, you're not so bad yourself." Stuff that made my stomach twist but could maybe be explained away as friendly. Then they got sexual. Explicit photos. Jessica's face, Jessica's body, pictures I recognized as being taken in our bedroom while I was at work. Messages about what they wanted to do to each other. Messages about when they could meet up. "Can't tonight, Daniel's home. Maybe Thursday. He has that late meeting." I sat down on the edge of the bed. Because my legs stopped working, I scrolled further. November 20th. Jessica. "I took a test. It's positive. Don't freak out." Tyler's response. "Shit, what are you going to do?" Jessica. "I'll tell Daniel it's his. We've been trying anyway. He won't question it." Tyler. "You sure? What if he wants a paternity test?" Jessica. "He won't. He's too excited. Besides, he trusts me." I read that line 3 times. He trusts me. I kept scrolling. They joked about me, called me clueless. Tyler sent a message. Does he really not notice? Jessica replied. Daniel's sweet, but he's completely oblivious. I could probably bring you home for dinner and he'd just offer you a beer. I went to the bathroom and threw up. When I came back out, I sat on the bathroom floor with the phone for 2 hours. I read every message, every single one. I looked at every photo. There were messages from last week, from 3 days ago. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a drunken hookup they regretted. This was 8 months of active deception, planning, and mocking me behind my back. One message from October destroyed me more than the rest. Jessica texted Tyler. Sometimes I wish I'd married you instead. You're more fun. Tyler's response. Too late now, but hey, at least we have this. I stared at that message until the words blurred together. Then I took photos of everything. 700 screenshots. My phone storage warning went off halfway through. I didn't care. I documented every message, every photo, every logistical detail about when they met up and where. Jessica came home from yoga at 7:30. I heard her keys in the door, heard her call out, "Honey, I'm home," in that bright voice she used when she was in a good mood. I'd put the burner phone back in her gym bag exactly where I found it. I was sitting on the couch pretending to watch TV. "How was your day?" she asked, kissing the top of my head. "Fine," I said. My voice sounded normal. I don't know how. "How was yoga?" "Oh, you know, exhausting but good. I'm going to take a quick shower." I watched her walk down the hallway, humming, and I thought about how easy lying seemed for her. How natural. Like she'd been doing it so long she forgot it was even lying. That night I lay in bed next to her while she slept, and I stared at the ceiling, thinking about the baby. She was 12 weeks pregnant when she told me 2 weeks ago. I'd been thrilled. We'd been trying for 6 months, or at least I thought we were trying. I'd started looking at baby furniture online, started thinking about names, started imagining teaching a kid to ride a bike in our driveway. And the whole time she knew. She knew it wasn't mine, and she was going to let me raise it anyway. The next morning was Saturday. Tyler texted me. "Want to grab beers tonight? Been a minute." I stared at that text for a full minute. Then I typed, "Sure, 7, okay." I met him at our usual brewery in Encinitas. He was already there, sitting at the bar, grinning when he saw me. We did our usual handshake hug thing. He asked about work, about Jessica, about the baby. "Man, I'm so happy for you guys," he said. "You're gonna be a great dad." I watched him lie to my face, watched him take a drink of his beer, completely relaxed, like he wasn't currently sleeping with my wife and carrying on like we were still best friends. "Hey, I'm seeing someone new, by the way," he said. "Might bring her to your New Year's party. Her name's Melissa, works in HR at my company. She's great." I realized right then that Tyler had an exit strategy. He'd knocked up my wife, and now he was already moving on to someone else. So when it all came out, he could claim it was a mistake, an affair that was over, nothing serious. I almost confronted him right there. The words were in my throat, but I stopped myself, because what would happen if I confronted him now? He'd deny it. Jessica would deny it. They'd delete the burner phone messages. They'd spin some story about how I was paranoid, jealous, crazy. And even if they admitted it, then what? Private apologies. A quiet divorce. They'd still have each other, still have their friend group, still get to move on with minimal damage. No. If I was going to do this, I needed to do it right. I went home that night and started researching. California divorce laws, paternity testing, what counted as evidence in court. I learned that California is a no-fault divorce state, but evidence of an affair can still affect asset division. I learned that I could request a paternity test through the OB/GYN without Jessica knowing. The doctor could claim it was standard genetic screening. I called a divorce attorney Monday morning. First consultation was free. I sat in his office in downtown San Diego, leather chairs and law books on the walls, and I told him everything, showed him the screenshots. The lawyer, a guy named Richard Chen, leaned back in his chair. With this evidence, you're in good shape. You'll keep the house. It was your down payment, right? She'll get minimal alimony, if any. And with the paternity fraud, you won't pay a cent in child support for a kid that isn't yours. How long does a divorce take in California? I asked. 6 months minimum from filing, but with clear evidence and no kids together, could be faster. What if I wait to file? I said. He raised an eyebrow. Wait for what? The baby shower. My mom's planning one for late February. What if I file but don't serve until then? Richard Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Legally, there's no issue with that. You can file and hold the papers as long as you want before serving. But are you sure you want to go that route? That's nuclear. They made me the fool, I said. Everyone thinks I'm about to be a dad. All our friends, both families. Everyone needs to know the truth. He studied me. Okay, but Daniel, after this there's no going back. You understand that? This isn't a private divorce. This is scorched earth. Good, I said. I scheduled a paternity test for Jessica's 16-week appointment. The doctor was hesitant at first, but when I explained the situation and showed him some of the messages, he understood. He told Jessica it was a routine expanded genetic screening panel, part of her prenatal care package. She signed the consent form without reading it. The blood draw took 5 minutes. Results would take 1 week. I played the role of supportive husband perfectly. Went to every OB appointment. Held Jessica's hand during the ultrasound. Asked questions about due dates and delivery options. At night I'd lie next to her and feel absolutely nothing. It was like someone had unplugged the part of me that cared. I was running on autopilot, and my autopilot had one destination: making sure everyone saw who they really were. January 12th. I was sitting in my car in the parking lot outside work during lunch break when my phone rang. The clinic. Results were in. I drove to the doctor's office, picked up the envelope, and sat in my car, staring at it for 5 minutes before I opened it. The report was clinical, professional, lots of medical terminology. But the conclusion was clear. Probability of paternity, 0.0%. I sat there in that parking lot for 2 hours, didn't go back to work, called in sick, drove to the beach and walked for miles, just walked, while tourists took selfies and kids built sandcastles and the world kept spinning like nothing had changed. But everything had changed, because now I had proof, now I had ammunition. That night Jessica asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, just tired from work. I went to the garage and punched the wall, broke skin on my knuckles, sat in my car and cried for the first time since my grandmother's funeral in 2015. Then I dried my eyes, went back inside, and started planning. I met with Richard Chen again, filed divorce papers but didn't serve them yet. The legal term is filed but unserved. The paperwork exists, it's official, but the other party doesn't know yet. We prepared a full evidence package, screenshots of the burner phone messages, the paternity test results, bank statements showing money from our joint account used for hotel rooms and expensive dinners, while Jessica claimed she was working late. I opened a separate bank account and had my direct deposit changed. Legally, that was my money. I liquidated half of our joint investment account, $18,000, and moved it to my new account, changed beneficiaries on my life insurance, and 401k from Jessica to my sister Emma. Meanwhile, my mom Patricia and Jessica's mom Linda were planning the baby shower. They were so excited. Patricia kept sending me photos of decorations she was considering. What do you think, honey? Yellow and white, or should we do a safari theme? I told her yellow and white sounded perfect. The shower was scheduled for February 24th, a Saturday afternoon at my parents' house. Both families would be there, our entire friend group. About 40 people total. I volunteered to help with setup, offered to make party favors as a surprise. My mom was touched. "You're such a thoughtful husband," she said. I spent 3 nights in the garage, building those party favors. Small decorative boxes, beautifully wrapped. Inside each box, a printed excerpt of the burner phone messages. Not all 700, just a carefully curated selection showing the timeline of the affair, the explicit nature of it, and the pregnancy deception. I included a copy of the paternity test results, redacted to show just the conclusion, and a note card that said, "Before we celebrate, I think everyone should know the truth about whose baby this is." I also prepared divorce papers with a bold header: grounds for dissolution of marriage, adultery and paternity fraud. I rehearsed what I was going to say, practiced keeping my voice calm, factual. This wasn't about emotion, it was about information. I was going to give everyone the facts and let them draw their own conclusions. The night before the shower, Jessica was buzzing with excitement. "I can't believe it's tomorrow! This is really happening!" "Yeah," I said. "It really is." She kissed me goodnight, said, "I love you." I didn't respond, pretended to be asleep. I lay awake that night thinking, tomorrow the house of cards falls, and I'm the one holding the fan. Saturday, February 24th. I woke up at 6 a.m., even though the party wasn't until 2. Couldn't sleep, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, watched Jessica sleep through the open bedroom door. She looked peaceful, innocent. I wondered how she did it, how she lied so easily, slept so soundly. I arrived at my parents' house at noon, early, to help set up. My dad Michael was stringing lights across the backyard. My sister Emma was arranging chairs. My mom was in the kitchen making finger sandwiches. "Morning, sweetheart," Mom said, hugging me. "Ready to be a dad. Ready for the truth," I said. She didn't catch my meaning, just smiled and went back to the sandwiches. I placed the gift boxes on each chair. 40 boxes. 40 people who were about to learn what kind of person my wife really was. My mom noticed them. "Oh, these are adorable. What a sweet idea." I wanted everyone to have something to remember today, I said. Jessica arrived at 1:30, glowing in a yellow maternity dress. Her mom, Linda, was with her, plus her sister, Nicole. They were laughing about something. Jessica saw me and waved. "Hi, honey. Isn't this amazing?" "It's something," I said. Tyler showed up at 1:45 with a girl I'd never met. Young, pretty, probably mid-20s. He introduced her as Melissa, his new girlfriend. She worked in HR at his company. Tyler gave me a bro hug, told me congratulations. "Big day, man." "Oh, you have no idea," I said. The party started at 2. Both sets of parents, siblings, aunts and uncles. The entire friend group, Sarah, Michael, about a dozen others. Everyone mingled, ate appetizers, laughed. Someone had organized games, baby predictions. Guess the baby food flavor. Typical shower stuff. Jessica was radiant. Opening gifts, thanking people, her hand on her belly. 23 weeks pregnant. Showing but not huge yet. She looked happy. I watched Tyler watching her from across the yard. Saw them exchange a brief look. He touched his phone in his pocket, like he was thinking about texting her. At 3:15, my mom brought out the cake. Yellow frosting, "Oh baby," written in cursive. Everyone gathered around, sang, cheered. My mom turned to me. "Daniel, honey, do you want to say a few words before we cut the cake?" This was it. I stood up, held up a glass of sparkling cider, looked around at 40 faces I'd known most of my life. "Actually, yeah," I said. "I have a lot to say." Jessica smiled, unsuspecting. "First, thank you all for coming," I said. My voice was steady, calm. I'd practiced this. "It means a lot that you're here to celebrate this milestone." People nodded, smiled. "Before we cut the cake," I continued, "I want everyone to open the party favor boxes. I put a lot of thought into them. I think you'll find them enlightening." Confused looks, but people started reaching for the boxes on their chairs. The sound of paper tearing, boxes opening, then silence. It spread across the backyard like a wave. One person read, looked up at me with wide eyes, then another, then another. Jessica's smile faded. She looked around, confused, grabbed the nearest box from someone's chair, opened it, her face drained of all color. Tyler stood up fast, his chair scraping. "What the fuck, man?" Everyone was reading now. The backyard had gone completely silent except for the sound of paper rustling. My mom had her hand over her mouth. My dad was staring at Jessica like he'd never seen her before. Linda, Jessica's mom, was crying. Jessica's dad, Robert, had his jaw clenched, veins standing out on his neck. I set down my glass. When I spoke, my voice carried across the whole yard. "For those still reading," I said, "here's the summary. My wife has been sleeping with my best friend Tyler for the past 8 months. The baby she's carrying isn't mine. I have the paternity test to prove it. And the really fun part? She planned to pass it off as mine. I found all of this on a burner phone she hid in her gym bag. Every text, every photo, every plan they made to fool me is in those boxes." Gasps. Shocked silence. Someone dropped their glass and it shattered on the patio. Jessica stood up, tears streaming down her face. "Daniel, please, can we talk about this privately?" "We're way past private," I said. I pulled out the divorce papers from inside my jacket, walked over to her, handed them directly to her. "Jessica, you're served. I filed 2 weeks ago. The house is mine. It was my down payment. The joint accounts are split, and since California recognizes paternity fraud, you and your affair partner are on your own for child support." I turned to Tyler. He was frozen, Melissa staring at him in horror. "And Tyler, buddy, congratulations. You're gonna be a dad. Hope Melissa here is cool with that." Melissa grabbed her purse, stood up fast. "Are you fucking serious right now?" Tyler reached for her. "Melissa, wait, I can explain." "Don't touch me!" she screamed. She pushed past him, practically ran to her car. Tyler looked around the backyard. 40 people staring at him. He turned and followed Melissa, stumbling over a chair on his way out. Jessica collapsed into her seat, sobbing uncontrollably. Linda rushed to her, wrapped her arms around her daughter. But when Linda looked at me, there was something in her eyes. Not just anger, but disappointment, shame. Like she knew this wasn't just about me exposing them. It was about what they'd done in the first place. Patricia, my mom, came over to me. She had tears in her eyes. "Daniel, honey, I'm sorry you had to see this, Mom," I said, "but I needed everyone to know the truth." My dad walked over to where Tyler had been sitting, picked up one of the boxes, read it again like he couldn't believe it the first time. Then he looked at me and nodded once. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. Jessica's dad, Robert, was standing now, staring at his daughter. "Jessica," he said quietly, "is this true?" She couldn't even look at him, just kept crying. "Answer me," he said louder. "Is it true?" "Dad, I didn't mean for yes or no." She nodded. Robert turned and walked into the house. Didn't say another word. My friend Michael came up to me. "Jesus Christ, Daniel, I had no idea." "None of us did," I said. "That was the point." Sarah, our mutual friend who'd introduced Jessica and me, was crying. "How could you do this here?" she asked. "At a baby shower. How could she do it at all?" I shot back. "You want to be angry at someone. Be angry at the people who lied for 8 months. Sarah didn't have an answer for that. I looked around the backyard one more time. The decorations, the cake, the gifts piled on a table. This was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it looked like a crime scene. "I'm sorry you had to witness this," I said to the room. "But I'm not sorry for doing it. They made a fool of me for months. They laughed about it in texts. They mocked me, planned around me, and were going to let me raise a child that wasn't mine. So yeah, I burned it down, and I'd do it again." I walked to my car. I'd already packed a bag that morning, Clothes, toiletries, laptop. Everything I needed for a few days. I'd booked a hotel room, Marriott in Mission Valley. As I drove away, I could see people in the rearview mirror still standing in the backyard, frozen. The house I'd spent years building something solid in was behind me now. Or maybe it had never been solid. Maybe I'd been stacking cards the whole time, and all it took was one strong wind to knock them down. I checked into the hotel, ordered whiskey from room service. It sat on the nightstand untouched, while I stared at the ceiling and wondered what the hell I'd just done. I did it. I actually did it. And the weirdest part? I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel relieved. I just felt hollow, like I'd detonated a bomb, and now I was standing in the rubble, wondering what the hell I'd built my life on in the first place. I turned off my phone for 24 hours. When I turned it back on Sunday afternoon, I had 87 missed calls and over 200 texts. My mom, "Please call me. We need to talk." Emma, my sister. "Holy shit. Are you okay? Call me when you're ready. I'm proud of you." Jessica, 32 messages, mostly variations of "please talk to me" and "I'm so sorry." Tyler, "What the fuck is wrong with you? You've destroyed my life." Friends from the party, a mix of "I support you" and "that was too far." Jessica's mom, Linda, "How dare you humiliate my daughter like that? She's pregnant and you put her health at risk." I deleted most of them, read Emma's text again, called her. "Hey," she said immediately. "Where are you?" "Hotel in Mission Valley." "You want company?" "Not yet, I needed to hear a friendly voice." That was brutal, Daniel, but honestly, they deserved it. "Did they?" I said. "I keep asking myself that." "Yes," Emma said firmly. "They betrayed you. They mocked you. They were going to let you raise a kid that wasn't yours. You didn't do anything they didn't bring on themselves." I wanted to believe her. Over the next few days, the fallout spread like wildfire. Our friend group imploded. There was a group chat I was part of, about 15 people from our regular game nights. Monday morning, I noticed I'd been removed from it. Natalie, one of Jessica's college friends, had kicked me out. Sarah texted me directly. "I get that you're hurt, but the baby shower, really, that was cruel." I responded, "You know what's cruel? Fucking your husband's best friend and lying about whose baby it is." She didn't text back, but other friends supported me. Michael called. "Man, I'm on your side, but I gotta ask, do you feel good about how you did it?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Ask me in 6 months." Tyler's life unraveled fast. Melissa dumped him spectacularly. Posted on Instagram. PSA: Don't date men who get their best friend's wife pregnant. Blocked. Someone at the baby shower knew someone at Tyler's company. Word spread. Tyler worked at a startup with a strict ethics policy. No relationships that could create conflicts of interest. He'd lied on internal paperwork about his relationship status. Never disclosed an affair that could have created workplace complications. He was called into HR the following week. Put on performance review. Corporate code for "we're building a case to fire you." Tyler texted me. "Are you fucking happy now? I'm about to lose my job. My parents won't talk to me. You've destroyed my life." I stared at that text for a long time. Then I wrote back, "No, Tyler, you destroyed your own life. I just made sure everyone could see what you did." He didn't respond. Jessica's life wasn't going much better. Her parents were devastated. Linda was Catholic, deeply religious. An affair and a baby out of wedlock, because to her the marriage was over, was deeply shameful. Jessica's extended family took my side. Aunts and uncles stopped calling her. Her tight friend group dissolved. Most of them had been couple friends, people who'd known both of us. Jessica deleted her social media accounts. Too many comments, too many messages. She moved back in with her parents temporarily. Couldn't afford to live alone, and I sure as hell wasn't letting her stay in the house. 3 weeks after the shower, I got a call from my mom. Daniel, honey, Linda called me. Jessica's in the hospital. My stomach dropped. What happened? She had a severe panic attack. They admitted her for observation. She's 25 weeks pregnant, and they're worried about stress affecting the baby. I felt something then. The first crack in the numbness. Guilt, maybe. Or just the realization that this was real, that my actions had consequences beyond just revenge. Is she okay? I asked. Physically, yes, but Linda says she's in bad shape emotionally. Daniel, I know what she did was horrible, but she's still carrying a baby. That baby isn't my problem, Mom. I know. Her voice was gentle, but I guess I'm asking. Do you feel okay with how this all went down? I was quiet for a long time. I don't know. I needed everyone to know the truth. Was there a better way? Maybe, but I don't think they would have faced consequences otherwise. I understand. I just want to make sure you're okay too. I'm fine, I lied. After I hung up, I sat on the hotel bed and thought about Jessica in the hospital, panicking so badly they had to sedate her. Thought about the baby, Tyler's baby, not mine, but still a baby, and whether my actions had put it at risk. I'd wanted them to hurt, and they were hurting. So why did I feel like shit? I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Chen, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-bullshit attitude. My sister Emma recommended her. Tell me why you're here, Dr. Chen said at our first session. I told her everything, the affair, the pregnancy, the baby shower. Do you regret the baby shower reveal? She asked. I thought about it. I regret that there was a baby shower to ruin in the first place. I regret trusting people who didn't deserve it. Do I regret exposing them? No, but I do wonder if there was a version of this where I didn't feel like a villain too. You're not a villain, Daniel, but revenge, even justified revenge, doesn't always feel the way we expect it to. Yeah, I said. I'm learning that. 4 weeks after the shower, Tyler was fired. Official reason: performance issues. Real reason: ethics violation. He lost his health insurance, his income, his entire professional network in San Diego. Emma ran into him at a grocery store. Told me he looked terrible. Like genuinely broken, she said. I felt nothing? Something? I honestly didn't know anymore. Tyler sent one final text. I hope you're happy. You won. I lost everything. My job, my family, my reputation. Jessica won't even talk to me. Congratulations. I didn't respond, but I lay awake that night thinking, did I go too far? The divorce, finalized quickly. California plus clear evidence equals fast process. I kept the house, the car, most of our assets. Jessica moved in with her parents permanently. The baby was due in July. I blocked both their numbers, asked friends not to update me about them. I needed distance, needed to stop thinking about them every day. April came. I started rebuilding, reconnected with old college friends I'd lost touch with. Joined a recreational soccer league. Something I'd loved before marriage, but Jessica had never supported. Spent more time with Emma. She became my anchor. I'm proud of you, she said one day over coffee. A lot of guys would have caved, would have taken her back when she cried. I spent 4 years building a life with someone who didn't respect me, I said. I'm not doing that again. In June, I went to a BBQ at my friend Michael's house. Met a woman named Rachel, 31, worked in data analytics, had recently moved to San Diego from Seattle. She didn't know my history, didn't know about the baby shower or the disaster that was my previous year. We talked for 3 hours. She was funny, sharp, had a dry sense of humor that matched mine. When the party was winding down, she said, "You seem like you've been through something." I have, I admitted, but I'm working on making sure it doesn't define me. That's a good goal, she said. We exchanged numbers. A few weeks later, we met for coffee. Rachel eventually asked about my past. I gave her the honest version, not all the details, but enough. Wow, she said. That's a lot. How are you doing with it? Some days are better than others. but I'm learning to trust my gut again, and to not ignore red flags because I want something to work. That's a good lesson, Rachel said. Hard-earned, but good. I appreciated that she didn't pity me, didn't vilify Jessica or Tyler, just accepted it as part of my story and moved on. July came. I heard through a friend that Jessica had her baby, a girl, healthy, named Lily. Tyler wasn't on the birth certificate. Jessica was a single mom. I felt pity, maybe, relief, mostly just distance. I realized one morning that I'd gone a full week without thinking about them. That felt significant, like I'd turned a corner. That's growth, Dr. Chen said in therapy. You're not carrying them with you anymore. Yeah, I said. I guess I'm not. I repainted the house. Neutral beige walls became deep blue in the living room, sage green in the bedroom. Colors I actually liked. Got a dog, a golden retriever puppy I named Cooper, something Jessica had never wanted. Took a trip to Colorado with Emma, hiked, disconnected from everything, breathed mountain air. You seem lighter, Emma said on the last day of the trip, like you're actually living again. I feel like I'm remembering who I was before I spent 4 years trying to make someone happy who was never going to appreciate it, I said. August rolled around. Rachel and I were still dating, taking it slow. She met Emma, met a few of my friends. It felt different than it had with Jessica. Calmer, more honest, like we were building something on solid ground instead of cards. 1 year later, February 25th, I ran into Tyler at a grocery store, saw him from a distance in the produce section. He looked tired, had gained weight. We made eye contact for a second. Then he looked away and walked in the other direction. I didn't feel anger, didn't feel satisfaction. I felt nothing, and somehow that was the closure I needed. People ask me now if I regret how I handled it. The baby shower, the public reveal, all of it. Here's the thing, I don't think there's a right way to handle betrayal. You can take the high road, you can take the low road, or you can go nuclear. I went nuclear, and yeah, it hurt people. It hurt them badly, but would I do it differently? I honestly don't know. What I do know is that I spent years being the guy who avoided conflict, who kept the peace, who let things slide to make everyone else comfortable. And where did that get me? It got me a wife who didn't respect me and a best friend who thought I was too clueless to notice. So maybe the baby shower was too much. Maybe I should have just divorced quietly and moved on. But I needed the people in my life to know the truth. I needed me to know I wasn't going to be that guy anymore. The one who gets walked on and says thank you. I'd spent years building something I thought was solid, a marriage, a friendship, a life. Turns out I was just stacking cards, and they were about to blow it all down themselves anyway. All I did was make sure everyone was watching when the whole thing collapsed. But here's what I've learned. Cards can be restacked. And this time I'm building something real, something that doesn't rely on anyone else's honesty, but my own. I have a dog who's always happy to see me. A sister who's got my back. A therapist who keeps me sane. A woman who makes me laugh and doesn't lie about where she's going on Friday nights. Friends who actually showed up when everything fell apart. The house I live in is mine. The bed I sleep in is mine. The life I'm building is mine. And nobody's going to take that from me again. Sometimes late at night, I still think about the baby shower. About Jessica's face when she opened that box. About Tyler running out of my parents' backyard. About 40 people sitting in stunned silence while I burned down everything we'd built. And I wonder if there's a version of me in some parallel universe who found that burner phone and just quietly filed for divorce. Who took the high road, who let them get away with it as long as he got out clean. Maybe that version of me sleeps better at night. But at least this version of me knows who he is, knows what he won't accept. Knows that sometimes the house of cards needs to fall so you can build something real from the rubble. Anyway. That's my story. Thanks for listening. And if you ever find a burner phone in someone's gym bag, trust your gut. Don't be me at the beginning of this story. Be me at the end.